I promised you guys rear bumper content, and I am nothing if I am not a man of my word. So here we go. I've got this piece mocked up. This is a piece of 3x6, 3/16, and this is just about how it's gonna sit. It's real tight to the rear here, and I'm considering maybe bumping it out a quarter, but the departure angle of Frank is already not gonna be great, so I could always bump it out later. Maybe I'll just leave it like this for now. I went ahead and eyeballed a mark here to get just past outside of this fender flare on both sides. And then I took the full measurement, and it's 72 3/4. So I went over here and drew up my bumper. Here's the top view, so I'm just gonna round that up to 73. And then these kickers on the side will be 21 inches to start. So I will 45 this and then return it here, and then I'll have to decide if I want to taper this to follow this line here. And then I'm gonna put a hitch right in the middle. Let me crawl under there and I'll show you guys my plan to attach this thing. Alright, so you can see this piece of 3x6 is fitting right up against this rear cross member. These two holes are where the factory rear bumper bracket bolted to, and then there's also one up here in the frame. So my plan is to just weld a tab at the bottom of this 3x6, probably with 1/4 inch, that goes around, and we'll just bolt up to that, and then I'll drill a hole in the 3x6 to bolt to the frame, and then cut a little access in the bottom here to get to that bolt. And then I'll probably put a couple more through here, through this back channel into the bumper. So let me move this piece of 3x6, and I'm gonna show you a little bit more my plan for that. This is a factory bumper bracket hole. This bumper bracket sits like this. So one bolt went through there, and then 2 bolts went through there. So that's my plan, is to just reuse these holes and basically make a piece like this. I'll make it out of 1/4 inch probably. And then, like I said, it will just weld onto the bottom, so that it'll bolt to that, and then I'll find out this hole location and drill a hole, and then I'll cut a recess in the bottom that you could get to that hole from to get the bolt in. So I hope I'm explaining it well. I'm probably not, but I'll try to explain as I go, or when I'm done, I'll show it, and then it should make sense then. I'm gonna get started on cutting up this tubing and welding some metal together. I've got this tube marked out, and I don't know the best way to cut this. Do I plasma it? Do I use a cutoff wheel? Do I try and use a Sawzall blade? I've never done this before, so I think I'm going to start with the cutoff wheel and then maybe try a Sawzall blade. We're going to be learning together here. saw that, but it was fast, right? I wasn't paying attention. This thing fell off, snapped a power cord. My shirt caught on fire from grinding. It's getting wild in the shop today. But we're all good. The only casualty was this extension cord. So back to work we go. All right, got everything cut, laid out here on the table. These cuts are not great, but I should be able to clean them up with a grinder and then get it welded up. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna weld these returns up and then grind them smooth, and then I'll know my exact overall dimension, so then I can mark center, and then from there we can get the tabs on the back for the mounting and stuff. So I'm out of time today to keep working on this bumper, but hopefully I'll get out here soon. We'll get this thing welded up, hopefully some mounting tabs on, and try and get it fitted up to Frank. I'm back in the shop working on this rear bumper. I got everything grinded up and set in place. I'm gonna go ahead, got these magnets in the corners to keep everything nice and square, 90 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and get it tacked up, and then I'm gonna start bombing it in, and then I'll get back to you. Bumper mostly welded up. It's sitting about right where it's going to install at, so I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to figure out where to get these tabs welded up. I found these in my spare parts bin, and I think it's gonna work out like dang near perfect if I just cut it straight here. I should be able to just weld it here. One hole dang near already fits, and I'll just have to drill another one. So I'm gonna give that a try. I cut off those pieces, cleaned them up, and then I just brought them down here with me. I went ahead and put a bolt through the hole, and then I just put a couple tacks on it, both sides. So I'll take those bolts out and then weld that thing up. We'll keep on going. Got the back side of these tabs welded up. Got them marked for the other hole. I used the factory bracket as a template and measured back from here, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the plasma and just plasma hole there, and then probably ream it out and make it a little clean with the die grinder. Got this second hole drilled, this bottom side welded up. I got a little confused because this thing's upside down, so hopefully I got it right. But I'm beat. I'm gonna go in and shower, get some dinner. Next time we're back out here in the shop, we'll get this bumper back under Frank. We'll see if these holes are right, get it bolted up. Then we'll make some marks for some more bolt holes, and we'll get the end pieces trimmed and capped, and then we're gonna put a hitch in here, so we'll get that in there too. So we're maybe 35% done, maybe 36. if you are wondering what a wannabe YouTuber has for dinner, here's what I'm having tonight. Some asparagus, some broccoli, and some fillets. Got my plate loaded up, about to dig in. This meal is definitely gonna give me the energy to finish that bumper on Frank. I'm back in the shop working on this rear bumper. You ready for updates? This bumper is attached to Frank on its own. It's not being held up by the lift anymore. Those 2 tabs I welded on, I got 2 bolts on each side, and now I've marked everything out. This is where the hitch is gonna go. Right there in the middle, I've got the sides marked to trim off and cap. I'm also toying with the idea of mitering this corner, but I think I'm gonna leave it for now. I can always do that later. So I also marked the holes on the frame on the bumper from the inside. So I was laying under there and marked them coming this way. So I'm gonna pull the bumper off, gonna drill all the holes, miter the corners, miter the sides, cap the sides, weld this hitch in, and then get it back on here, make sure everything works, and then we'll paint it. The bumper will be held on by the 2 bolts of the tabs underneath that you've seen, plus 1, 2, 3, 4 half-inch bolts. So I've got them kind of marked here. There's little room for me to get my hand up because the tank's in the way to mark it. So I had to like take a small pencil, so the marks aren't great. So I took some measurements to try to confirm the marks were right. So hopefully they will be. All right, I got the angles cut here on both sides. For the side where it meets the fender here, I've got the mounting holes that are going to go to the back cross member drilled and cut and cleaned up and ready to go. Hopefully they're in the right spot. And then next I'm going to cut this out, weld this receiver hitch in, cap the bumper ends. These ends need to be capped. Weld those up, then I'll show you what I'm going to do after that. So this is the backside bottom of the bumper. This is where the receiver hitch, backside of it, will come through. And there's 2 things. There's going to be no way to get a bolt here or here unless I put an access in. And there also will be no way to get the receiver hitch pin in. So I have to cut some sort of access panels here. I'm going to start by cutting this rectangle out and then this rectangle out on both sides, and then I'll weld the hitch in from the other side, and then I'll see if I can get to it and if I need to cut out more. Okay, I got the hitch in. I got these cutouts cut out, these access areas, and then I also cut the center out of this cross member here so that the hitch can slide in. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this back fitted on Frank, check to see if these holes that I made all line up on the cross member, see if I can get a pin in from underneath. See if I can get this in from underneath. See if this is enough. If I cut out enough or if I have to expand that. And then lastly, I need to figure out how I'm gonna get to this hole. Do I cut another little access here? Do I just maybe make a piece, like weld a big tab on the nut so that I can just fish it up there? So I'm gonna do some testing and I'll get back to you. All right, I had the bumper up and the holes mostly are good to go. These outside ones, these ones matched up good. These two are a little high, so I need to waller them out a little bit. And then I think I'm gonna make 2 more holes for safety chains. I'm gonna come over a little bit here and then make a hole there and a hole here. And that way, if I ever tow anything, which I probably never will, you could just loop, hopefully just loop a little safety chain in there. So I'm gonna do that, and then weld up these end caps, finish welding this hitch up. Then I will get the bumper back up to Frank, get it completely bolted on, and if it's good to go, we're gonna move on to paint. It's another day and I'm back in the shop. Today I'm trying to make real good progress on this bumper. I had some family and friends here and I've been trying to sneak out in the shop intermittently and work on this bumper, but today I think we're gonna get to the point where I can get it primered. Let me give you a little update. I ended up cutting some access holes here and taking some little flat strap, welding a bolt onto it so that I could stick it in here for access to connect to Frank to these back holes over here. So that will go to this. And I ground down the caps on the end, so it's done. The bumper is ready to get fit up to Frank, make sure all these holes are good. So I'm gonna fully bolt it on and make sure everything lines up and we're good. And if it is, I will clean up this mess that I have created and we'll get that bumper up on this workbench and get a coat of primer on it. Before I test fit this bumper, I'm just curious how much this thing weighs. So I got it over here on an old school scale. Almost 90 pounds, 88 pounds is what this bumper weighs. It's almost a 2-man job to get this thing on. All right, I got the bumper up there. I got 7 out of the 8 holes working. This one that goes here still needs a little bit more wallering out. So I'm gonna pull that off, clean up this mess, then get some primer, paint on it, and then once that's all done and I get it back on Frank, I'll show you what it looks like. fully mounted, fully painted. What do we think? I think it looks pretty good. You can see, like I said in the beginning, there is not a lot of area that sticks out here. It's almost like a roll pan bumper, but that should be good for wheeling for the departure angle. So that's the way I planned it. I thought there might be a little bit more sticking out, but I'm good with the way it is. Let me grab a flashlight and we'll go underneath. All right, these access holes worked out great. I can get a pin in there, and you can see here on this side the piece of flat bar that goes up that I welded the bolt to, and then the nut for it. Can you see it there? Oh, you can kind of see it right there. There you can see it. So you kind of need some nimble fingers to get a nut on there, but it works. So we got 8 bolts holding this thing in. So it should be plenty strong. Miters came out pretty good. Pretty good line coming down there. That looks good to me. We can go ahead and cross rear bumper right off the list. Next video might be front bumper, might be something else. I'm hoping to find a front bumper I can modify and not have to make a whole bumper from scratch. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace trying to find something. I've got a couple that I'm gonna look at hopefully in a couple days here that will work. And if I do end up picking one up, next video will be front bumper. If not, next video will probably be those rear ender fenders. I want to try and address those. So until then, thanks for watching.